Hello viewers, and welcome to another stream on Gran Turismo. Has been a thing lately, but here we are then doing a couple of races today, bit of a grindy evening, and a bit of practice for the next FIA race tomorrow. I did a bit of practice last night. I feel quite comfortable with the car and the track, so we'll be looking at that and seeing if we can improve upon things in terms of consistent runs today. And looking at the different tyres as well that might be worth using. Also can obviously get kicking off with a few races, if anything, a bit of grinding just to get the stats up a little bit in terms of what we're doing and who we're racing. It would be great to get those stats to sort of a rank soon, but it does take time to level up as you work your way up the ranks and the players get better and better. Let's get ready for a race. So we did a few runs on this the other day, and we've got Big Mike in the room. Hi Mike. First to say hello today. Good man. So today, obviously, it's been good having you guys along for the journey. I've been. Just 4 weeks ago, I'd never played Gran Turismo Sport online. Hadn't played an online competitive race of this level for 10 years. So, because I just stopped playing online. So it's been nice to get online, and mainly because of the stress and the pressure. It's one thing about esports that people don't really talk about is the pressure for perfection when you're at that level. It really is all-consuming, so it's nice to just have a run now and just enjoy the driving more. I'm not saying I'll do this forever, but at least we'll be doing a bit of this before Dirt Rally, and I'm enjoying it. There's no doubt about it. I like the handling. I like the way it speaks to me. We've got Chris here as well. Hi Chris, I'm good. A bit tired actually. I've been suffering from a really random bout of hay fever. It just kind of knocked me out these past couple of days. Strange time of year to suffer from it. And we've got a new, we've got front Swain now following. Thanks for the follow. I wasn't concentrating on the wheel at all. I should have waited till it's straight. So it comes up at the wrong moment. Oh, I see, it comes up there as well. Okay, that's good. So let's just settle down and practice for a second, and we'll do a race. We'll do a race in a moment, and we'll be up to speed. Always takes a bit of concentration, but learning this. Lido, any word on Isle of Man 2? There is no word. There is no word on what's happening with Isle of Man 2 or WRC 3. In fact, it's all gone a little bit quiet in terms of what's going on with a lot of the Big Ben stuff at the moment. But I'm kind of feeling I don't think we're going to hear from anything from Isle of Man at the moment. There's no sort of news. But we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with WRC in the coming weeks. But bike game wise, there's really nothing now. Ride 3 for me wasn't the game I was hoping it would be. So not as quick through there as I should have been. I was trying to be bit later on my braking there. But, if we get ourselves into the 133s, then we'll be ready to race. It's amazing you come back to this after just a couple of days away and you just miss those braking points sometimes when they were judgment calls rather than markers for some of these corners. Improving. making a mistake in turn 1, that will have cost a second. And braking too late because I was going much quicker. Getting on the power way too early there. Lido never bought Ride 3, and I have to come back to you guys on the forum. I've been off for a couple of days. New Need for Speed this year. Yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. I mean, a lot of these games companies, you know, we're a sort of news website, as many of you will know, but we're finding increasingly now that games companies are more challenging to deal with in the sense that they have their sort of favourite YouTubers that will tell you everything's brilliant, and if you're independent media, it gets difficult getting a hold of the game or getting access to it. So where Need for Speed's concerned, they really sort of closed up. Right? They wouldn't show us the last Need for Speed game at all. Hence, you saw no Need for Speed content. They wouldn't let me get on it in terms of previews and stuff like that, and the review period. So in the end, we just give up and focus on other games instead. So we're improving gradually, and once we're into our zone and we found our braking points, we should be ready for a bit of improvement there while I was sliding around before, and getting to where we want to be gradually, using a bit more of the gears this time. Run it to the red line, as it were. As straight as you can. Waiting to brake before around the final brake marker here. We lost a lot of time through there, didn't we? I was much more aggressive before, so lost a bit of time. But either way, decent improvements. What we're looking for today, so for those of you just joining, is today I'm just simply doing a few races to try and increase my rank, as it were. Trying a different technique there, didn't work for me. It shows when you start to lose this car, it can be tricky to get hold of. Right, let's pause it there for a moment, and actually might just, we'll leave it there just for a second. So, new Need for Speed this year, Chris. So let's wait and see what that's like. You know, again, I don't know what to expect of it. We'll know if it's good if EA are happy for us to see it. I think that's when you know something, because they're comfortable with something. When they don't want to show it to you, normally means they're not that comfortable. They'll give it to their chosen YouTubers first to hype it up a bit, and EA are all about hype. You know, I think the problem with Need for Speed is it's kind of lost its identity, hasn't it? It doesn't really know what kind of game it is. You know, it's been many different games over the years. But ultimately, I think the sort of underground scene, you know, you were driving these cars and the cops were after you, and it just added something to it. So, I mean, I enjoyed Need for Speed The Run as well. You know, I just thought it was a cool concept. But I couldn't complete it because the disc failed, and that was that. Now, Chris, you play with the Logitech G29. Well, I don't have lots of money, trust me. I have the wheels, but I survive on what I can. But I think when it comes to wheels, you know, I started off with the G25. G25 was a great wheel. G29 is essentially the same. The only thing I don't like about it is the brake, the rubber behind the brake pedal. I think you can take it out. If you can remove it, it will make the brake pedal travel better, and it really adds a lot to the feeling. I don't know if I feel consistent enough on this track to go into a race yet, but I guess we'll do a few more laps and obviously we made masses of mistakes early in the lap. So yeah, I think when it comes to a wheel, I think that I mean, ideally, the Thrustmaster T300 onwards is a really good wheel. I mean, Thrustmaster T300 is great. Some people say, hey, I broke my Thrustmaster or I broke my Fanatic wheel, and I sometimes think, well, yeah, but it depends how you use your wheel. And if you're going to use your wheels on 100% force feedback all the time, they're not going to last long. I certainly don't. I mean, I'm not fighting my wheel. Let's go in here and get on the straight. Yes, the rubber behind the brake pedal was awful. It gave you no feel of the brake, basically. So we made a mistake into turn 1 that time. So there's not really much speed to be gained in turn 1, is there? That's where there's a fair bit of speed to be going through there. We want to brake about the 100-yard board just before it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we got on the power gradually. Not terrible, not great. Didn't get the car slowed down in quite the way we'd like. And again, we're going to use those gears, keep the car a little bit straight if we can. You can see that dot in the centre of the screen there above the revs where you can see my turning the wheel, and how essentially you're trying to keep the car as straight as possible, because it's always accelerating when you're going straight. Braking heavily. Using traction on the exit, braking until the car stops sliding. Better exit, which takes us across the line for 133, and that's better. So we're getting back into the rhythm of driving the car now. It was braking earlier into turn 1. This is all about, it's not so much speed we're looking for here, we're looking at just consistency. So we know that if we're in a race, that we can do okay. So let's exit that. It's a bit of money. I need a bit of money. Exit that. And then we'll just see when the race starts. Entry deadline 4 minutes. So let's enter a race and then see how we get on. Now the races today, I had a couple of messy races the other day, but I think at the time I was just relaxing after the stress of the FIA race. I didn't expect to do very well on that race. I was seriously expecting to just come in sort of like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place. Ended up winning the race, and that made a bit of a change in terms of the look and feel of the look and feel. So I was thinking about the car in terms of in terms of how it turned out. And then after the race, I just needed to chill out. Basically, it was just it's quite focused, these FIA races. I mean, the next FIA race is tomorrow, and again, it's a really tough challenge. You know, it's fast. You've only got 1 day's practice really. For the most of us, unless you've got lots of time to just play games all day. And in some cases you're up against guys who have selected the races a while ago, but I can't do that because my rank isn't high enough. So let's just have a cruise. Getting that corner right at the moment. I just want to get nice. Keep it nice and gentle, nice and smooth through there. Tim, hi Tim. Yes, I'm going to be practicing Monza in probably about an hour. That is the plan. Practicing Monza. I did a few laps last night just to get a feel for the car, and my lap times are okay. But tonight I'm going to be testing. Not so much lap time tonight. It's more of tyres and consistency. How fast can I go on different tyres and consistency? So plenty of laps coming up at Monza. I just need to rank up on a few races first, because the higher your rank is, the more points you get. So for example, if I win my race, I get 1,000 points. If I come 5th in a high ranked race, you get 2,000 points. So I'm thinking, well, let's see if we can get this rank up, because I've seen these top players and I think, well, we're not far off. I was expecting to get blown away in some of these races, and you go into them and see, you know, do okay. Okay, Tim, see you in a bit. Big Mike, you've missed the last 2 FIA races due to work. Can they not extend the times during the day? I agree completely. I think that the FIA races should be on for at least 3 hours longer than they are currently. I think 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the very least would certainly stretch it out a fair bit. Damn, made a mistake there. It doesn't matter, it's through. So not that long now until 133 again. We seem to get these 133.7s, don't we? But, braking a bit harder than you can see. So you definitely want a slow entry there, don't you? It makes a bit of a difference. Hi, is it Jan? Nothing happened yet. You haven't missed anything. First race is going to happen in just a moment, and then we'll see how we get on in that tonight. So tonight, obviously, we're going to be having a few races and trying to just have clean sessions. The objective here, really, as you can see, the people in the room are much better than me in terms of their times. I mean, look at that. I'm 7th place. And I'm not capable of those times. I mean, 1:31, I haven't been able to get near to that time. So this is good. This is the sort of lobby that we just want to do okay in. Looking at the lap times everybody's got, I think this could be a close and difficult race. But I think if we can finish where we start, we'll do okay. Go-kart is now following. Hello, go-kart. Bit of bridge racer there as well as virtual racing. I just combined the two. It's a bit like saying the force will be with you always. Right. Okay, so here in Canada they changed the times last week, 5 to 9, 7 to 11 at night. 7 to 11 is better because if you're working, you know, you're working till 5 or 6 in the evening and then you're out, like you have an evening class or you have something else on, you're just not going to be able to get home in time to do the races, you know. So in some senses I might miss future races and stuff like that once I've got other things going on this year. So that's why I'm taking a bit of time until I discover what my routine's going to be, and then I'll be able to give you guys a more regular routine in terms of how we're going to get on. So let's just warm up a little bit then. Now the objective here again, obviously, clean racing. We're not in it to win it, we're in it to firstly improve my sportsmanship rating, which has taken quite a big hit, and just try and get some smooth running in. I say that, the racer in me will take over, and before you know it, I'll be trying to hunt somebody down or something, but I can't help that. Okay, that was a quick warm up then. Okay, race time. Let's see how we get on. Seventh place on the grid. But we're right in the middle of a sort of messy zone there, I find. See how we get on. See how we get on. I don't know how we all made that through there in one piece, but I'm playing it very safe. I just don't want to touch anybody. I could see him, but it's not worth. He gave me a little shove, so not worth doing much there. Just about kept it on the track. I could have gone through, but don't want to get a penalty here. We've got to keep it clean. Otherwise we'll just get aggressive and that's no good for anybody. We had a bit of a slow exit from that corner. When I touched the curb then, you'd have heard the rear tyres squeal, and that means don't get on the power, you just spin out basically. So I missed my chance of slipstreaming him through here. Mistake there. That cost me on the final corner. Oh well. Fair enough. That was okay. Third place, I think. Just trying to dodge everybody. Foxy Games, why is nobody using a Corvette? I have no idea. No idea. I haven't used that car myself at all, I don't think. But either way, that was a solid race there, actually. Nice and clean. Big Mike says that thumping driving on the road is getting a bit annoying. It is getting annoying, isn't it? It is. It's an interesting concept, but so making progress. And, third place. That's okay. That's all right. If we can have a couple of races like that. Jason can't wait to play the Grand Tour game. Yeah, I mean, interesting. We have contacted the Grand Tour to see if we can have a look at the game. They've been in touch with us and they won't let us see it. So, don't know what that means. It's never a good sign when developers are not keen for you to see the game early. I keep an open mind. Right, there we go. That was some good racing there. Obviously the guy ahead of me sort of barged and got that penalty getting past, but you know, he stayed quick for the rest of the race. So at the same time, I didn't want to take risks in that race. I was really thinking, and I'm playing it safe through the chicane, much slower than I could be, and I'm thinking let's just keep it consistent. So apologies if it's a bit grindy tonight. I'm just going to look at the old stats and see what we need to achieve, and then that way we will achieve A rank next week, which will be roughly a month of play to achieve A rank. So I say a month of play, I mean I've not played it every day because we've had Christmas and other things, but that was a good result. So 2 more races like that, and then we will look at the FIA practice for tomorrow. That's going to be quite tough. We've got Jeff in the room as well. Third, we'll take it. We will. The thing about these races are, you know, you can push to come first, but you could get you can have crashes with people and smack into walls. And what happened the other day was my sportsmanship rank really took a hit, and I thought today we're just going to bank it, because actually to get to A rank at the moment only requires me to get 2nd, 3rd and 4th in a good lobby. The main thing is you don't fall backwards too much. That's the main thing. So if you start in 10th, finish in 10th, then it's not the end of the world. So that's going to be good. And our sportsmanship rank is now back up to 99, which is great. So we're going to enter the race again and prepare for our next race. We've got Nico and Nico on Twitch there. Hello to Twitch viewers. We have a few Twitch viewers. It's gradually growing on Twitch, the channel, which is nice to see. And as I say, we'll take that third. I think, you know, like you say, it's if it's an FIA race, it's slightly different. We'll be going for it. Do you know what I mean? It's much more serious, I think. But that sort of tension is quite a lot. John's asking, have I any thoughts on the news on the Grand Tour game? We had no thoughts. We've contacted the Grand Tour developers and people involved. They know who we are, and they don't want to show it to us at the moment. I don't know what's going on, but normally the game's not that great when developers say we don't want to show you the game. So we'll just have to wait and see. You know, I have no idea at the moment. The problem with their trailer is, and I did point this out to them, that the gameplay in the trailer was running at like 15 frames per second, so you couldn't really get a feel at all in the gameplay clips they've shown what the game is like, or does it play well. But graphically it looks okay in terms of static visuals, but we'll just have to wait and see. I have no clue what the Grand Tour game is going to be like Though I will say it sounds interesting in the sense that it interacts with the show. So you'll watch an episode of the show and they'll drive a certain truck, and then you'll go onto the game and you'll download the truck they were driving in the environment they were driving on, and you will do it. In theory, that's how I understand it. So it's an interesting way of sort of interactive TV in that sense. Thanks, Damien. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're just getting the driver rating up so that when we do the FIA race tomorrow, there's a chance of just a few more points. We want to, otherwise, it's all for nothing. Basically, it doesn't matter if you win every single race in the lower classes; you just won't progress anywhere anyway. So, yeah, it's time for another couple of races on this track. So I appreciate you all watching tonight, and it might be a bit repetitive. And as I say, once we get this done, then we'll do a bit of practice. But I thought rather than just streaming it all or just playing it myself, why not have a few viewers on board while we watch this, and then you can enjoy it and see the practice session as well. My ears are getting hot with the headphones on. Right, let's see how we go. It's good to have a bit of limbering between races to stay fresh. We've only got a minute till the race, so I've still forgot to oil my pedal. I've got to do that. I will do that. It's interesting when you're racing and you're looking at places where you make time. Like here, it's better to be slow here and get the car in and then launch it on the exit rather than try and keep speed all the way round. It's the same with corners like this. You know, brake and go slowly through the corner. You know, don't feel the need to give it everything, because that's where you make your mistakes basically. There's corners where you can make sort of time, and there's corners where you just need to, or risky, where you say, right, how much risk is there for how much speed? This corner is always easy flat. You're looking at the line on the inside and you're gaining against that. So the concrete edge, if you like, turning into it, oversteering into the corner, the car will understeer. Here, braking just before the 50 and into fourth, and then gently accelerating on the exit. I've still got a little bit of wheel spin there. And then after the 50 sign, braking down. Gently on the power as we touch the curb there, and that just slid the car a little bit, but it's okay. Flat through there, oversteering the car into the corner. The car will, if it goes wide, will continue to go wide. And then here we're braking after the 100-yard board, before the 50, down into fourth. Doesn't matter how slow you go, just want the car on the inside, gently applying the throttle, and again you'll just get more drive, lift, power, power, lift, no braking, gently on the power, and again using the exit. So it's little things on the course determine how much risk you're taking on every lap. So if I think, oh, I want to close on a guy, I would just put my foot, floor it on that exit, for example, and I know that I'm going to go close to the wall and I'm going to take a risk, and I might touch the wall, and I have to gauge how much risk that's worth, or whether I think he might make a mistake. When you're racing top level players, you take it to a whole different level. You take it to a point where you know what mile per hour you have to be at, what angle you have to be at, where the lines should be depending on the miles per hour you're at, so that you know that when you get out there you're going to make it every time. You just know that, and that's how it is when you're racing the top players. But when you're racing everybody else, you can just say, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Let's just enjoy the sort of more organic racing, if you like, where you just determine it in terms of your speed perception through the corner. I didn't actually see where we were then, but 12th place. So here we are then. I'm in 12th place in this lobby. They are making it tough for me. 7th in the last one and 12th in this one. So this is going to be quite a challenge. As you can see now, we're moving into the cool my ears down a bit. We're moving into the A's and A plus lobbies now, and this is where we want to be. You know, these are top players now that we're gradually getting towards when you get to the A pluses. Where do we think we can finish here? You know, we're starting in 12th, so the objective when we start the race is always to maintain 12th position, and then if we can maintain 12th, then like you say, anything can happen. So we're going to prepare for the race now. Do they use real world tracks for this? They do, Star Fox. They are. In fact, the other track is Le Sarthe, but the length of Le Sarthe and learning it in the time I have is not possible. So I'm doing this track to grind today. I need to get some races, just some races to get some points so that we can get on and get the A rank next week, or even tomorrow if we have some really good results on the FIA races. So again, starting in 12th, long way down the order today. It's just very much a case of let's not have any accidents. Let's just take it nice and clean, maintain clean racing. We have lots of gaming wheel stuff on the site, but I probably could do with a comparison, which I will produce this year in terms of the different wheels on the market. But they're all pretty good. Okay, so let's get into this. Shift straight away. You'll see I shift straight away as soon as it says go. There we are. You don't even bother with first gear, there's no point. It's straight into it, and then you're going through the gears, lining up, getting a bit of slipstream from the car in front, and now I'll start concentrating. So all we want to do is just be clean. Somebody here is going to get a penalty. Somebody here is going to hit a wall somewhere, and we just hope that we're not going to get caught up in it. That's what's going to happen. This guy behind me is drafting me. He might go for the overtake here. He has. It's all right. Let him bite. There's no point to getting caught up in this at the moment. Playing it safe there. We could have gone quicker, but we just don't want to spin the car out. So, calamity happened as expected. There's a penalty ahead, and now we're going to judge that these two are going to come together eventually because he's slipstreaming him. They're going to come together on the track somewhere, and they're going to slow each other down. Watch, here we go. So that guy's going defensive, the other guy's going to try to undercut him, and the guy ahead has a penalty, so he's not going to be very happy with himself right now. And look, you see how they slowed each other down on that corner. Braking late. He's got a penalty, it's okay. You might try and get rid of that at some point, but you might not. So if we stay a second behind him, then we have a chance of moving up position anyway. And anything is better than where we started. So remember, these are A and A plus drivers, so they're all handy drivers. go again, having a little battle. Don't want to get too mixed up in this. I'm a little bit concerned with these two. Closer than I'd like to be. We might just have to go for the overtake here. Oh, late move. What was the point in doing that in the braking zone? He'd committed to the outside. I'm lucky I didn't get a penalty there. But it was to be expected. See, he had left a gap for me to brake into, so I might get a penalty then as well. So that's he's got a penalty, so he's just driven off then by the looks of it. He got frustrated with a bit of rage. There's no need for that. You see, again, that was a situation where if you're going to leave someone room, like I did earlier, let them by. Don't just accept. I left a gap there. That's that. Otherwise, what happens is you're turning in and crashing into them. Well, it doesn't do you or them any good. So we just want to stick close to this guy now. That bit of mucking about then, you can see slowed us down, and the guys behind have caught right up on us now. This guy's a bit risky behind me. I'm feeling he's quite racy. He might be in my slipstream. It's alright. Let him go up the inside. There's really no point in... He's desperate for this position, and I just don't want to get any penalty points at the moment. I could tell that would have ended. See, that's a situation where you have to assess, is it worth a crash on the final corner just over that one place? No. Get those points and bank it. So there we go. From 12th to 7th. Good result. Good result. Moved up 5 places. Lovely. So that was a solid result. And we finished an achievement as well, which is nice. So 7th place. That's okay. Up 5 places. We're getting the stats. Part of our stat grind day, viewers. And then we'll do some Nations Cup practice soon. One more race. Let's see how that's helped. That's helped a bit more. We need another race. That was actually a good result for us then. The quality is a lot better on Twitch. I think the quality is better of the stream on Twitch, honestly. So that's I think that the quality on Twitch seems to stream really well for me. I mean, at the moment, I'm still deciding on which format we're going to stream on at the moment, whether we stream on, there's Facebook Gaming, where you can get 60 frames, there's YouTube, and there's Twitch. I think we're likely to end up streaming on YouTube, and we might stream to 2 channels. I'm still deciding at the moment whether we should create a separate channel just for streaming, because I know some of YouTube viewers on Team VVV like our sort of pre-edited content rather than, you know, me chatting and playing games. So it's a case of deciding at the moment what to do. But like you say, we're improving all the time with the streaming, and I think people will enjoy it more when more new games are out. Right now, there's no games out. There's nothing else for me to do really at the moment. But in a few weeks' time, once we start getting our hands on new games, we'll start to make improvements. So not far till A. As I say, we'll reach A rank next week, hopefully. And then at the moment, given our rate of progress, we'll see how long it takes to get to the A+ rank. Oh, I don't, John. To be fair with you, I actually don't know much about Twitch and Prime and all that sort of stuff at the moment. It's something I need to learn about. I am quite new to this. We have a YouTube membership thing, or we have Streamlabs, but in all honesty, I don't even know how a lot of the donation stuff works. I mean, I see YouTubers all day with donations and things coming in, and they have all kinds of features available, and I don't know. The big problem with Twitch is Twitch invite everybody to become a affiliate if they do quite well on their streams, but then you have to be exclusive to Twitch basically. So that means we couldn't stream on YouTube and Facebook. That's obviously not possible. And at the moment, I think probably YouTube is likely where we'll do the majority of our streaming. But YouTube are fine about restreaming, so that's really handy. So that race was okay. One more race tonight, because they are quite stressful. I find, you know, you're still, even though I'm talking to you guys about it, it's still quite a lot of concentration. And then after this, we can relax and enjoy a bit of the practice for tomorrow's FIA Nations race, which is going to be you know, interesting. I think tomorrow it's a very fast car on Monza with no first chicane. It's going to be, I think there's going to be big crashes tomorrow. The braking distances are quite short. The cars are very quick. It's very easy to get a penalty on the circuit, so we're going to be, you know, challenging in terms of having consistency and not getting penalties, and that's why we're going to do a little practice today, and hopefully, all going well, we'll be in the running tomorrow. On the FIA race, I would like a top 5 finish. That's got to be my aim for tomorrow. It's got to be. I've just have to wait and see, though. You know, these guys are so quick. You know, they're finding new ways of taking time off all the time. And the big challenge tomorrow is going to be tyres. What kind of tyres to use? Do we go with the medium? Do we go with the soft? But I'm going to be doing a bit of tyre assessment today. See how we get on. We don't have a VV paint job yet. I just whacked a logo onto a black Lamborghini. Generally speaking, it's just to scare people when they see me coming up behind them, basically. So let's hope it works. There we go. Look at it. It's like a Batmobile with Goodyear tyres. I don't know why. I wanted something classic Goodyear. All right. So we're not going to race just yet. We've got a little man walking down the bottom corner there. That's nice. Nice little details they have here. But I wish there was more in the way of activity on this course, you know, like crowds or flags or, you know, something. I feel that it's sort of what Tokyo would be like if Tokyo was deserted all the time. You know, there's not much to look at here, is there really? But perhaps that's all in the future, and they've put the detail into the track itself. And the detail is outstanding. Shame I've had to turn off the music, isn't it? Jeff, absolutely. Tomorrow's FIA races are going to be really interesting to watch. When you see my practice session, you're going to see just how quick everybody is. I mean, people are flying. Right, hold on, guys. I'll be straight back. Okay, guys, so ready for the race then, and we'll see how we get on, as ever. This will be interesting, I think. Now I'm expecting it to put me into a much higher grid place this time. I think it's going to give me 2 where I'm low in the grid, and now 1 where I'm higher. No, I'm completely wrong. It's putting me again against much faster drivers. And again, I think this is another good thing to look at here. Look at me. I'm 11th. I'm nowhere near as quick as these guys ahead of me. But when it comes to consistency in the racing, a lot of guys, they'll put in a banker lap that's amazing, but consistently, they can't keep it together in the races. And that's why when you look at a scoreboard on the FIA and you think, I'm never gonna be able to race these guys. Well, you never know. They probably can't knock that pace out every time. Their average pace might be quite a bit lower. So Steph's saying, what time will you race tomorrow? I'll aim to race at 5 p.m. And I'll probably aim to do at 5 p.m, 6 p.m. races at least. It depends on how I get on. I may do all 3 tomorrow. So if I do well, and I do well and I win, I'll probably just keep going tomorrow, because my practice times have been, I think more confident this time. You know, I've been more comfortable with the car than I was the last one. I didn't like that car the other day, and I didn't like that course, and though I won it, it was a real struggle. You know, more about me getting a good quali, and then unusually for me, I'm not very good at quali. So we'll have this race. Don't know why the steering wheel decided to judder then, but let's just get a warm up. And 42 seconds, do a few corners. That's right, Nico. A lot of these guys don't have racecraft, so you know they don't know. Like that guy earlier opened the door for me to brake on the inside, but if you looked on the final lap, when I knew someone was there, there's no point to just driving into them, ramming them. If I've left a gap, that person's taken it, then that's racing. You know, look at what they're doing and look at how you can improve yourself. There we are. Bit of warm up, pretty quick, and we've got a new who we have. Steph. Hi Steph. Has followed on Twitch. Oh, we're doing better on Twitch. It's good to see. I used to have no viewers on Twitch, and that's why my focus has been on YouTube. It's good to see Twitch building up. Do you still have an old bookshelf with all the games and memorabilia? I have many bookshelves with games and memorabilia. I'm probably going to do some streams on my games channel where I start streaming retro games. So that's going to be a separate thing. I'd like to do streams on here, but I know that people would moan if I'm not doing driving. So I probably am going a bit narrow, but I have a kind of a technique that works for me at the moment. So I'm just sticking with what I've got at the moment. A lot of when I'm racing here, I'm not racing kind of. Alright, that was interesting. That was interesting. I would have had no chance of avoiding him then. Oh, we can't let this guy by. So we're going to... I had to hold off the gas then. I aware he'd gone around the outside and broke really late, so fortunately. Oh, what's he doing? Weaving. Bit of weaving there. That's alright. Again, we want a clean race. So let's try and not get too mixed up in all this. This is not looking good. Oh, that cost us bad, didn't it? Had to lift there. It was all going a bit crazy. That's not normally what happens on that part of the track. So this guy's got a penalty. We've definitely got we've got slipstream now. If we can just get in here. If he's going to block us, it's going to be messy. Oh, it's not been the easiest race, has it? I had to literally stamp on the brakes and lose loads of time then. So now we've got a clear track and we just got to go for it. Damn it, damn it. Tried to get on the power a bit quicker then, but this car just doesn't have it. So we'll have to settle, I think, for 9th. Given all the drama, I think we're just happy to be where we are, really. Okay, so our objective is to get within 4 seconds of the car in front. We are within 4 seconds, but we want to get closer than this. Wow, gear change really threw the rear end out then. That was a bit unexpected for me. Fair enough. That was the best I could do with all the commotion around. Again, if you get mixed up in things, you could end up far worse. So I think when you look at the lobbies, that's all right. Remember, I started, I think, what is 11th, and all these guys are quicker than me. So that was okay, not bad. It just shows you when you're battling how much time you lose. You know, when you're at the front of the field, you can just pull away. But, you know, up 2 positions. So as I say, in every race, it doesn't matter whether you start in 14th place, just improve a little bit. That means I was better than I started, and that's all you can think about, rather than win it, win it, win it. So that's the mentality that gets you nowhere, because then it becomes stressful, it's not fun, and we never want it to get there with driving. So Big Mike says, do you think playing with manual instead of automatic gives you an advantage? Yes, in this game, in most driving games. He came, you saw, he did better than others. I think that was about it today. Yeah, you can't win them all. So if we just take a look now at the practice time ranking, so the top is a 124, and I'm on a 121.8. I'm not going to be improving on that sort of now. I'm going to be looking at more practice with tyres now, and testing out different tyres and seeing how we get on. I'm not going to make a decision today on what strategy to use on this tomorrow, because one of the hard things about this is you can't, or at least I can't, practice how tyres are going to behave until you're actually in the race. So there's no real prep for me. If there was a sort of a sim prep where you could simulate the race environment and simulate your tyre strategy, that would be really handy to optimise your time. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go onto the mediums for a second, and we're just going to see what the car feels like, and then if we're how consistent we can be on our pace rather than quick today. So we're not going to beat our time. Now you'll see here that it's going to take a bit of time for me to zero in again on my braking zones. It's a very fast car. You haven't got that constant bumping now. Boom, boom, boom. Oh dear. You put up with it. This is a fast car, and this car is really quick. And we've got no chicane now, so you can see here, no chicane, and Curva Grande is flat. Look at that, flat. Car is sliding. Made a mistake there. Let's get a feel for the circuit again, a feel for the braking zones, and all we're doing here today is seeing how does it feel on these tyres, how quick can we get, can we hold track position, what are our braking points. Monza, great racetrack. I love this track, been here quite a few times. Braking too late there, so we need to understand the braking, which is different to the soft tyre obviously that I was using. Trying to keep the car as straight as possible with minimum lock through the corner to keep acceleration through the bend. Now, if you know where the speed is it easy to find it? No, it's not, because putting a good lap together, you might do one corner quick, but it's such a knife edge to get it just right. It's very challenging. So tomorrow we're going to need to be smooth, we're going to need to be quick, we need to be really consistent. So we really want to find where the braking points are, mark them, and then really understand what we've got to do through the corner. Yes, this FIA race is tomorrow, so 5 PM UK time I'll be competing. So 123. So we're a couple of seconds slower a lap on this tyre. It's interesting. But we have more speed to find. Can we get this tyre into the... Let's get that car out of my way. Can we get into the 122s? No, the tyre didn't have enough grip through there, did it? Too late that time. Trying to brake a bit later, but it didn't work. So just have to align that braking point, and then we'll know. That's it. Okay, that's it in Greece. Brilliant. So tune in, and I'll be on tomorrow for the FIA race, and you'll see how I get on. Tomorrow, what are we aiming for? Got to be a top 5 finish tomorrow, but we have no idea on strategy. So at least here we can say that if we can do 123s, we can look at the lobby we're in and make a judgment after qualifying on roughly everywhere everyone is. Qualifying might even determine what type of tyres we use in the race. Car in too late that time. That's a better consistent line through there. The curve is a bit risky. Let's find somewhere to brake here. So no, it's too late. It's fine. Just learning the braking point, and then once we know where we're going. Now you might say, well, what happened? You were doing it right a couple of minutes ago and suddenly you've gone off a couple of times. Well, what it is, I'm using speed perception to judge rather than a braking point. But speed perception is all well and good. But when you zone out a bit and you lose a bit of concentration, or your tyres start wearing, it just always helps to have some references. So obviously not a good lap then. Let's try and settle in and see if we can find a consistent pace with this tyre. Bit slower on the power there, mainly again just not taking a risk through that corner. So this here is a, oh, I wasn't looking at the track there, I was reading. This is a Fanatic, this one currently I'm using is a Fanatic official F1 wheel. Which was released recently after the F1 Esports, and this is the one that the F1 Esports drivers will be using. Primarily important for me because as someone who likes F1, once I start my F1 career, it would be good to use the same tools that those guys have, which might help me in terms of understanding my pace on F1, and then trying to do on F1 what I've been doing on here in terms of lots of online racing and working my way up. The penalty. I knew what I was doing there. I was just cutting it a bit fine. So this wheel actually feels really great. It's great with my gloves on, gloves off, but my racing gloves always give me that mindset of racing. It's almost like a Dumbo's feather, if you like. It's I found it quite comfortable. And look at the effect a penalty has on this track. Wow, you lose seconds all the way down the straight. I actually feel that the penalty system is a bit rough on this track, because you lose a lot more time than whatever the time is. You'll lose double that time. So if you lose a second, you'll lose at least another 1 second getting back up to speed all the way down the straight. So it's a big change. Are you guys all Gran Turismo players? Have you been following VVV for long, or have you only just found us? Just interested to know if everybody's new to the channel or have been following us for a long time. So 125s, 123s. We've got a 123.6. 123.6 again. So we've had a couple of 123s. That means we could dial that in and we could run that as a pace. I think that would be good in the race. Ah, brilliant, brilliant. It's good to know people are finding it. It's Twitch. Twitch is in the audience, isn't it? I mean, lots of you guys on Twitch have never heard of us. I've been doing videos on YouTube for many years, and of course I was an esport player, and Team VV was an esport racing team 12 years ago. So brilliant. CZ there, see that? And Tim's going to stick to F1. It's tricky trying to find those extra tenths consistently are too quick. I was going much quicker through there that time, and you see I'm ahead of my time, and of course my braking distance changed because I wasn't normally going that fast when I reached that point on the track. And it's the thing, you're always learning. I will. I'm gonna have a look at the chicane and try it in third, but it just, the drive is better and the exit in second, but we can have a look. See, let's try third. This is what practice is all about. Tomorrow it's all going to be about, you guessed it, tyres. Once we've learned some consistency. Okay, let's focus a little bit. Let's see how third gear does through the chicane. That's okay. It's good to say. It just doesn't have the drive on the exit. That's the only, bogs down a little bit. But let's run it a few times just to understand it. Oh, I knew what I was doing there, but I thought, hey, let's try to get on the power. And look at that. You know, you make a little mistake like that, and you can be off so easily in this car. Don't do that on your tyres. So we're going to exit. Going to save that for the moment. And we're just going to back out of there. So let's have a little replay for the moment, a little break. is a lot of laps at the moment, but yeah, just racing around and enjoying a few laps on the replay. So let's look at some of your comments. Got to rehydrate after all the driving and the racing as well, and all the talking. So Tim managed a 127 in Group 1 car earlier using a pad and was happy. I think I'll stick to F1. It's not easy, and I say I've got it down to the 121s in terms of the soft tyres, but we're going to go on soft tyres in a bit just to learn a bit about that as well. The chicane, the car just seems to behave better in second gear through that chicane. It is tricky though, it's very borderline, but the problem with this car is it doesn't seem to have much torque in third gear, so if you're 5 miles an hour below where third gear sort of kicks in, it just doesn't seem to get there, it's really slow. So you really need to get the gear changes when it tells you in this car, rather than short shifting and trying to pull it in a slightly lower gear. It's a tricky car in that way. Let's see, online racing PS4. Online racing, you cheat your license in. Don't quite know what that one means, Jeff. No cheating from me. Just for me, this is just clean racing. Nico, absolutely. Always trying to stay clean with the racing. So we had some clean races tonight. We didn't win them all, but that's not the point. Same with tomorrow. Sometimes when for example, if you're in a race and you can win it, a bit like the FIA race the other day, you'll defend your position when you need to. That's what a racing driver needs to do. But if it's not, if it's just a weekly sports race, it doesn't really matter as much. It can do more harm than good if you smack into it and damage your sports rating. Getting that chicane right is going to be key, and using all the road on the exit. But be aware, when you're on that curb and you're getting lots of wheel spin and traction, you can lose the car very easily. Don't forget, traction control is off. And again, that's something you can't test with your tyres and how they behave. Steph says, for me this is new, I want to start racing myself. Good. I think I'd like to think that what you see here is sort of helpful over the Gran Turismo streams, because you've seen me from just racing the AI to having my first online race, encountering issues, having my first FIA Nations race, learning the structure, and now working my way up gradually. As I say, next week, after a month of driving, we've gone from bottom class right up to A class. We're going touch wood, we get there. And tomorrow should be good fun on the stream tomorrow with the FIA races. I want to enjoy it, and I do enjoy this course and car. I love fast cars. The slow cars are very simple. You can see from the body language of the car, I'm just very comfortable in this car, and I can find new limits in it as well. I've not hit my limit yet, which is great. So I'm going to work on trying the soft tyres in just a moment. Starfoot says, what racing games content are we all looking forward to in 2019? It's difficult to say at the moment. We've got Dirt Rally 2 coming, Wreckfest on consoles, F1 2019 could be pretty impressive. You've got the standard ones, the MotoGP and the Monster Energy Supercross coming, but then you've got a couple of arcade races, which we've covered on the website. I forget what it's called now. A really cool one coming. And then we've got unknowns, haven't we? GTR 3, what's that going to be like? Are we ever going to see a new WRC game? Are we ever going to see a test drive game? What's going to happen with Forza Motorsport 8? Are they going to take it forward in some way, or is it just going to be Forza Motorsport 7 but improved? And what new racing games are we going to see? Is Need for Speed going to be any better than any other Need for Speed? Okay, so the game is a bit loud here, let's just turn it down. So, became just a little bit. Hopefully that's better for you guys now and you can hear me better. Okay, so there's definitely a lot to look forward to this year in terms of racing games, and I think on the, I probably need to look on the oh hang on, Mike's just all over the place here. I'd probably need to look on the website actually, because we've got a lot of it on the Team VV site. If you jump onto teamvv.com and you check out the release schedule, you'll see all the games that we know about and when they're coming out. Crazy Mike just seems WRC skipped a year. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've had conversations with different people as to why that is, but it's all positive chat. The future of racing games is all positive right now. Milestone with MotoGP, Codemasters with F1. Everyone's putting more investment into it. Sometimes you need an extra year to make a game. You need an extra 2 years. And if it means that whoever has WRC comes forward with a game that they can spend longer on making, then you're going to end up with a great rally game at the end of the day. And that's what we want. We want a game that represents the WRC Championship, that it creates the atmosphere, that has the replay facilities like this, so you can watch your rallies and enjoy them, and you can enjoy esports and stuff like that. So certainly a lot to enjoy there. Supercross the game is out, pretty soon Supercross 2. So and there'll probably be an MXGP something Pro 2 or something. Okay, so we'll have another running in. I'm just having a little break after the races. It's funny when you do these drives, but you're often driving for hours and you need a little break at times to just relax a bit. But the good news is that the stats are okay, so we won't hit the A rank tomorrow, but you can see that we're closer. And I'll probably need to do quite a few more races, but I think if we do some good races tomorrow, we will hit the A rank next week. After this race, the next race is going to be at Brands Hatch in an E-Type Jaguar, 1961 I think it is, and that's going to be really challenging. It's not a car that talks to me at all, so I don't think I'm going to do great on that one. And then the race after that is in Nordschleife. Raxel says no Forza this year. We've been hearing rumours, but there's no confirmation of what's going to happen with Forza. You just never can tell, can you? I mean, it might be that Microsoft decide they're going to have a couple of years out of Forza now, just have a break until the next generation to upgrade their tech. When are we going to see a new PS5 and Xbox console? I would actually say that the Xbox One X is probably one of the most underused consoles there's ever been. I don't feel anything really apart from what, Forza Horizon 4 really. There's not many games that really use the power of the system really to the maximum. I have to admit, I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 is pretty darn amazing. I kind of wish they'd upgraded the original game. I much prefer the original. So that's some good laps. Forza 8 could be a launch for the next Xbox. I mean, Forza 8, Forza Motorsport 8, would be going into my Dan. I think Forza 8 needs a big step forward. It needs a step forward in physics. There's no doubt about it. They need to really get the physics nailed, especially with a wheel. If they're going to do esports and get taken seriously, it's got to all be with a wheel. You can't have players being seconds a lap quicker with a control pad. I mean, if it is, that's fine, but I don't think it gives the authentic driving experience of simulating how the car's working. Well, Forza Motorsport 5, there's a couple of things you have to know about that. When we first played Forza Motorsport 5, firstly, it looked an awful lot better on the system they had than the Xbox One. And what that demonstrated was that the Xbox One was surprised turned 10 is lack of power, because it looked much better on the version we played, and it was downgraded quite heavily to the final game. So the Xbox One was never the console it was supposed to be. And what Microsoft know now is they can't cut any corners. You know, the next Xbox needs to be amazingly powerful. As KSI Forehead said, power. Well, that's what you need in your new Xbox and your new PlayStation is power. And whoever has that power is gonna do pretty well. But this generation's been a real mess for Microsoft. The big problem with Microsoft is not just the console; it's the lack of games, you know, on it in terms of, you know, Forza 8, you know, Forza. Why don't we launch with Project Gotham Racing 5? Why don't we launch with something Rallycross Challenge 3 or whatever? Why don't we bring back a new game, something to excite us that's different, you know, not, you know, Forza Horizon. This time we're in Japan, this time we're in Las Vegas, and we've got something else going on. We're not really developing it. So it's I want to see, you know, Gears of War 4. Let's start something new. Let's see some new developments. I think that's where Sony's creating the game titles that are new and exciting and different. And I think Microsoft need to create new IPs now. That's really what they need. Halo is back, Forza is back, Gears of War. You know, let's create new brands and, you know, see what we've got there. Otherwise, it's just sequels. And I think that's something. Let's try some soft tyres now. Hope you've enjoyed a bit of the chat there. You know, a bit of random chats. And let's try. So we were averaging around the 123s on the medium. The soft is a much quicker tyre, but is it quicker over the laps we have with the degradation we have? That's going to be the thing we can't assess today. Oh, so let's crack on, do some more laps. Soft tyres now. It takes a few laps to get dialed in because, hold on, so a bit of the drinks bottle. No, got that wrong. I was going a bit quicker on the entry, wasn't I? So these new tyres, slightly different. Don't drink and drive, absolutely. Is there any, just for example, I don't know if I'm even going to play those games, but do let me know if there are ever driving games you'd like to see me playing. I can't guarantee that I will, but we've got Teo, used to be part of VVV back in Forza 2 times, with Richie Roo. Oh, blimey, Richie Roo, eh? Yeah. I'm still here. I'm still here, you know. And I think one thing to remember about the Team VV eSport team is, one, I was a bit better at playing games then than I am now, and two, weren't we all? And two, I was the if I make a mistake there, I was the slowest player on the team. So I used to say, right, if you can't beat me, you're not going to join. And back then, bearing in mind I was probably setting top 10 times or whatever, you know, I just enjoyed the race with people. You know, I used to love going into a lobby with the VV team and coming last. It was just the best, because I knew that, you know, once you put that badge on your car or your gamer tag, you represented the team, and it was a great feeling for everybody. You know, there was a bit of camaraderie there. But as with all things, it wasn't to last, you know, and it's just one of those things where I think when people are in teams sometimes they think, oh, maybe it's better to be in that team, or maybe it's better to be in that team, and that guy says it's better in that team, and in the end everybody just moved to different teams, and in the end I just kind of gave up, because I said, well, I've done so much work trying to build it, it requires other people to come together. It's out of my control. So at least with what BV is now, it's content, it's me. I can just rely on myself to say I'm going to do a good job. And Kevin runs the website, and Kevin does an incredible job on the website. He really does. I mean that guy is brilliant. I don't know where I'd be without him, but thanks, Kevin, wherever you are. Keeps up with all the racing news, and at some point we'd like to bring the podcast back, but okay, so we'll concentrate a bit more now, and we'll start to put in some better laps. Yeah, we did a lot of laps in Nordschleife back in the day. I think that's why I just had enough of it, because I have to admit, the Nordschleife was never a track I was good at. Everybody liked it. I mean, back then there was Hitman and B. Bradley and CJ, and then you had people like Handy Wasser and Davey Skills and Dino, you know, big names who are still in, some of them still in esports today, who were just impossible to beat, basically. Aliens. I did beat them occasionally, but not often. I mean, it felt quite strange if I did beat them. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Damn it. Just trying to get that final corner right. Start bringing it together again. Yeah, I believe all the guys, a lot of the guys are still playing. Obviously they've got different tags now, so I wouldn't know who a lot of the players were now. You know, they're all in the different teams that are still there. Now, I'm not on the limit pace here. I'm trying to find lines through corners that are consistent for the race predominantly, so that we know we can brake there and we're consistently too much risk on the exit there. Bring it together. This is always a tricky, and you might be thinking, oh, are these tyres no quicker than the mediums? No, they are quicker, but when you've been driving with a certain tyre, and then you adapt to another tyre, you're suddenly braking later and taking different apex speed. The thing you want is here as well. Hello, hello. But yeah, no, the old team years ago were very quick, and had they still been formed, I'm sure they would still be very quick on whatever racing games they played. Oh, I got that wrong. try again next lap. This is going to be an interesting race because it's actually very easy to make mistakes on this course and get penalties. I could go quicker on the chicane, but I don't want to risk getting a penalty at the moment. That's the thing. Yes, no. Davey still plays Forza Motorsport. Monza without the turn 1 chicane is amazing, isn't it? Can you imagine what it would be like in Formula 1? Wow. I mean, balls to the wall speed, wouldn't it? I thought I might get a penalty then, as I was saying. Just wanted to see how close I could get to that chicane. We'll slow down in a moment anyway. Very quick though, isn't it, in this car? Now it's funny, isn't it, when you look at my lap times there, all 1:23s. So consistently, it's this obviously will be the first non-1:23, but we've got more speed in us. It shows so that even when you make mistakes with soft tyres, you can do 1:23s. With the medium tyre, when you do a mistake, you'll be doing 1:25s. So, you know, it's a bit to take into account there. It's going to be pretty tricky tomorrow whether we decide to go with one or the other. Obviously we won't be cutting the chicane like that tomorrow. Let's look at how we would cut the chicane tomorrow in race trim, as it were. I think we can cut over the bump there. A bit slower on the power. Went a bit too deep on the entrance and wasn't quite where we wanted to be. Progressive on the exit, braking early, sweeping the car into the curb, progressive on the exit. That's a much easier line for the race. Of course, it's at some point in the race when tyres are at a certain point, you have to do hammer time, as it were, and give it everything. Marek says, have you played older Gran Turismo games? I've played every Gran Turismo game. I've played every Gran Turismo game before there were Gran Turismo, because the first test version of Gran Turismo was Motortoon GTR. When you completed Motortoon Grand Prix 2, there was a second disc, and you could use a 60 frames per second mode of the game, which included a Formula 1 car and a NASCAR. Handled terribly, but it was the beginnings of Kazunori's journey. Motortoon Grand Prix was a great game. It really was. Look at that, so easy to lose it. But yeah, if you shift into third there, the car just bogs down. It doesn't have the torque to get it up. There was a, I mean, technically it wasn't, and we call it an LMP1 car, but it was a prototype, if you like, because it didn't meet the rules, so it was a prototype essentially. But the speed of it on the Nordschleife and the bravery of the driver was incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, I watched the onboard, the complete lap, and it was just mesmerising how good he was at the circuit and how he makes it look like a video game. I mean, just literally makes it look like a video game. So I've got on the power too early, messed up the lap. See, that's a tricky corner there because you have to wait a bit. Maybe what it means I'm braking too early and turning in too early. Just trying to find the line through that corner with these tyres consistently. Lost time there, but there is a technique. There is a technique. Yeah, incredible video. So just on the car practices, yeah. So every round, different car class, different track, different driver challenge. So you wouldn't normally do all of them. You'd pick the ones that suit your style. But I'm picking all of them because I want to challenge myself. I want to see what cars I'm good in, where I can be quicker, where I can find time and improve my skills, where I'm weak. I'm only going to do that by driving different challenges that I wouldn't pick for myself. So I made a mistake through there. You can see lost a couple of tenths. Got a bit more time out then as well. So getting quicker. Love this flat out straight, love it. Love this into Curva Grande. Beautiful, look how smooth that is. Risky on the power, wow. So speed to be found through the corners there, and the Lesmos. Oh, managed to get it through there then. I made a mistake there before and lost 2/10. So you can see I'm a little bit behind where I was before in many respects. Just got on the power a little bit too soon again. That meant I did turn the wheel a bit too much. So you can see how the lap times are gradually improving in terms of consistency. It doesn't just suddenly happen, jump on a new tyre and suddenly you're quicker. You have to do lots and lots and lots of laps. And when people said, oh, VVV were a good team years ago, yeah, practiced really hard. You know. But I know tomorrow the guys are going to be much quicker than me. So I know that I can't beat them in terms of speed. Made a mistake there and went wide, but I had to hold off the power. Lost time, but not as much as you would crashing. So I know that the only way to compete is to find some form of regular consistency. And if we can find that, then we can gradually improve. So, thing you want, saw an article on VV mentioning tracks in Dirt Rally 2, rubbers in, is any other racing game doing that? I suppose there are, you know, I mean, iRacing and Project Cars, and but then Milestone have been doing that in their bike games for quite a few years. The trouble is how the track looks when you start a race. When you start a race, hold on, got that wrong. When you start a race on these racing bikes, the track is already rubbered in because you've had practice sessions, you've had support races. So you never start with an absolutely green circuit, but obviously by the end of your race there's a lot more rubber, a lot more discarded rubber at sides. That's something which probably they could do with simulating more in this, is they have some of the marbles sometimes you'll see at the side of the track, but they need to work more on discarded rubber sort of affecting the car, I think. But you can't have that for everybody, because you've got to remember most players are game players, they're not racing drivers, so you need to have you know, a game that's available for not just experts but beginners as well. Got that wrong. Got that wrong. Oh dear, not a good lap. R factor 2 has rubbering in. Ah yes, of course. R factor 2 does. Do you know, I might have a little break now actually. I've done quite a few laps, so I'm just going to exit that for a second. So we found some more speed, but we weren't able to connect a lap together there. So I think if we connected a lap together, there was probably another second we could have knocked off that lap. So there's still improvement. But what we're doing right here is more looking at consistency in terms of how consistent can we be. And if we look at the lap times in that session, 122's down the board, we're a second a lap quicker consistently than we were with the medium time, which is interesting. But the question is none of that really matters until you see what you're up against in the race. You know, you might be up against guys who can't do more than a 124 on the soft tyre, in which case then you know that your medium might work. But it's always easier said than done, isn't it, until you're actually struggling on your tyres, until you know how many pit stops it's going to be. Now I quite like the cockpit cam on this car. When you adjust the cockpit camera, I can drive from that. But one of the benefits of the bumper cam I race from is, of course, you have a rear view mirror at the top, which really helps me with locationing in terms of knowing where other drivers are. I mean, when you're in a racing car, your mirrors are key in terms of awareness. You know, you're constantly aware of where people are in your mirrors. A bit like a real road car, really. You know, having good awareness around your car, your blind spots, is really important. And a radar isn't always helpful in terms of the body language of the car, because you can see how they're moving. And that's why when you saw me racing earlier, I was able to predict quite often what other guys were going to do by the way they were driving. I could see when they were racing, I could see when they were willing to, you know, crash into somebody, frankly, to win. We'll wait and see on that. I mean, I think the Dirt Rally 2 thing is more about all the dirt surfaces and everything will get worn. So the track will change throughout the day, in terms of throughout the session, in terms of where you run, how rutted it will be, and how that's going to affect you. And that's going to be quite interesting, really, depending on surface. And that's something which I asked John, the rally driver they've got helping them out, John Armstrong, is, you know, where's the best place to run? And he reckons often mid-session is a nice sweet spot, but it depends on the surface. Sometimes the surface is good when it's fresh, sometimes it's good when it's been run quite a few times, and it just gets better and better. So his little head there moving around inside. So there's quite a lot to consider when it comes to enjoying the circuit, great atmosphere at the circuit. Yeah, I think WEC hypercar rules. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's happening with WEC. I mean, WEC's in a funny place at the moment. I mean, since Porsche left and Audi left in the top flight, it's kind of unbalanced the top of the leaderboard. You know, you got Fernando Alonso saying, "Well, we really struggled to get pole position." Deep down, we all know that car is light years ahead of everybody else's. So there's nobody to compete against Toyota in the top flight. The mid-pack battles, was it GTP or whatever, they're all much better to watch quite often. There's some really good mid-pack battles going on, but top flight at the moment, it's not where it needs to be. And that's kind of put a dampener on Le Mans, really. So we need so this was a decent session in terms of consistency, wasn't it? It was good running, good consistency. I think tomorrow, you know, you've always got to knock off a second a lap to an extent, depending on where you're racing. If you're playing it really safe, I don't think we can play it too safe. I think we're going to have to brake where the brake markers are, and a bit like the McLaren GTR race. You know, had to push hard on those races. I mean, there was no other way around it. You just had to go for it. The only time I slow down a bit is if I've got a gap behind me and I'm on the final lap. You just don't want any penalties, and you don't want any mistakes, and you just brake like a metre ahead of where you would. So, you know, there's no out-braking, there's no sliding in the corners, you're progressive on the power. So that was a really good session. Let's bring up some data. Do we have live timing here? No. Oh, no. Replay options. Display in fact. I think this is helpful. So back out of that. So at least we can see the lap times as they gradually improve throughout the session. That's going to be interesting. So the soft tyre, obviously, it's consistently quicker, but how long will it last tomorrow? That's the thing. And when it does fall off, how badly will it fall off? That's what we don't know. yeah, we're going to wait and see what happens with Le Mans. You know, but it's a shame because Le Mans right now, I think if Audi and Porsche and even Peugeot had stayed there, and Peugeot a great car, and you know that was Anthony Davidson's drive that year, and suddenly the whole team's not got a drive, even though they'd built the car. Crazy. I mean, they'd actually built the car and didn't run it. I think it was a similar situation with Porsche. Actually, they built their car, hadn't they, and then just didn't run it, which is always a bit strange. They'll always give you excuses as to why they didn't run it, but you never really know. Dieselgate or something they'll say, but who knows. Change view here, just to go on board. It's nice from the driver's point of view. Gives you a nice view. So you're a bit higher off the ground with this view, then you get a nicer view of proceedings, but there's no rear view mirror. So, you know, so just learning about consistency. So if we don't win tomorrow, we make sure that we get the maximum out of the car in terms of, you know, your own personal drive. And you say, like I came second in one of the races, and I said, you know, it's like today earlier, you'd have seen the 7th or whatever it was place. I'm perfectly happy with that because there wasn't the option of doing any better than that without either taking massive risks and just keep control there. That was a bit risky, but it's good that it happens now because you're learning. That's what I do if that happens. But it's all easier said than done. I mean, you can watch expert laps all day long on the replay theatre, and copying them and replicating them are another thing entirely, especially consistently. So racing games this year, there's a lot coming out. If you haven't seen it, I'll put the link into the chat here as well, which could be helpful for you guys. If you want to keep up with all the new releases and the information as we have it. Oh, I've got to update the calendar. Goodness, just realised I haven't updated the calendar, but I'll do that. I'll do that this weekend. There we are. So that's the release schedule, which hopefully will come up on your chat, and that will show you all the new releases that we've currently got on our release schedule, racing games coming up in the next sort of couple of months that we know about, and you can expect that to double. There's one non-racing game on there just because I'm looking forward to it, which is Ace Combat. I'm looking forward to Ace Combat, and I'm probably going to stream a bit of Ace Combat because I like it, and I am going to stream some other games, as I say, on the other YouTube channel in due course. I'm just going to get that planned out as well, how best to do that. But, lots of racing news, and big thanks to Kevin for getting all that up. Have I ever been on a track day? I've done track days, and one thing with VVV is quite often we've gone out and driven the real cars to see what they're like and then compare. And you know, driven rally cars, and even recently I raced tractors, which was good fun as well. So it's been lots of experience, and when you go out to different driving centres or, you know, GT Academy training, stuff like that, you know, that's where I learned about throttle control, and that's why you see I'm quite smooth, because I drive in a way that's smooth on the tyres, and it's progressive, and that's the way to work, is to brake early. This is my replay, yeah. This is my replay, so I'm just having a rest for a minute while I've done a whole session of laps, so quite a few laps today, but was just learning the track, and it's funny, you see the progression from 123 lap times consistently to 122 as you're gradually learning the nuances of the track. So my hands are rest. So, never heard of the Grand Tour game. Well, there's not much news, I tell you. They're keeping it quiet, the Grand Tour game. We have contacted them to cover some gameplay, and at the moment, no joy there. So, now, this is one of those, this is a funny circuit in the sense that it's fast, it's smooth, in many respects it's quite simple, but it's also very precise. and that's why this track is so challenging. It's because so much precision is required on every lap to get pinpoint braking points just right, so that you go over these chicanes. I went deep into that chicane there, lost speed on the exit. So you're just trying to find that braking point. Ride 3, is that any good, Raxel? Well, I mean, I've got to edit Kevin's review. He reviewed it a couple of weeks ago. For me personally, it's not the game I hoped it would be. I was expecting it to be the bike game that was just going to blow us away and end all bike games, and it just didn't quite set the world alight for me. So I think it's probably one of the best, but I couldn't say whether it's better than Ride 2 because I didn't play enough Ride 2. I think where Isle of Man TT is concerned, Isle of Man TT is Isle of Man TT. Isle of Man TT had handling issues and a poor career mode, so it got 7 out of 10, I think it did, and that's because the career in it, well, there wasn't enough of a difficulty curve. With Ride 3, there's a lot of bikes in there, but I just found it a little bit soulless. Tracks were a little bit wide at times, and I don't know, just lacked a bit of something for me. And also the handling I found a bit imprecise in its own way. There's still a bit of that sort of understeery nature to it, depending on the bike you're riding. So I don't know, it didn't do it for me. Do you think Forza could benefit from GT Sport style multiplayer? 100% it could. Any racing game could benefit from this kind of multiplayer option, because it promotes clean driving. Because of the twin rankings, the sportsmanship and the driving ranking, you can be a great driver, but if you've got a bad sportsmanship ranking, you just won't get anywhere. Because real racing drivers need both. They need to respect other drivers, they need to respect the danger of the situation. Obviously in the game you don't have the danger, so people take reckless risks. Reckless driving is no good for anybody either, because it ruins people's races. So in that sense they've got a really good balance here. And for all the complaints people say about the penalty system, 99% it's been pretty fair. I see people online complaining that, oh, the penalty, look, I got a penalty for that. Well, you lost control and you hit the wall and then somebody crashed into you. You made the mistake, and you've got to put your hand up and say, I lost control in that corner, I caused that accident. Quite often people don't. So in general, I've had a couple of penalties that have been a bit unfair, where people have driven into me, but it's all to do with how it calculates your car control. But on the whole, I think it's excellent. I think it would do the world of good to Forza players in making Forza a proper sort of racing community. And I think that if they improve that, then Forza could, as I say, could improve the whole racing community. But you need your physics sorted, you need your wheel input sorted, you need it to be a proper racing game. We've got Richard here as well, ex-teamer Richie Rube. Hello Richie Rube, blimey. So it's been, what has it been? 11 years. 11 years since you guys have heard my voice on Xbox Live back in the day, doing a bit of racing. Far more relaxed now. I think we're all older and wiser, but still enjoying my racing. Coming back here now and gradually improving lap times, trying to find consistency. I haven't played online as many people, well, a few people will know, for maybe 10 years. I left online gaming as such in terms of racing, and just moved to other genres, and where I could just play anonymously basically. But right now with VVV, I figured, hey, we cover all these racing games, and I think people forget sometimes we're actually quite good at these racing games. So sometimes you've got to get on here and see how good you can be and race some of the best races. But at the moment, gradually working on lap times and improving for the race tomorrow. I only have limited time these days to do this, and I try to stream as long as I can every day so you guys can enjoy the racing action. But we'll hit A rank next week. So Richard, are you still playing your racing games after all these years? yeah, I think the GT system is excellent, and in actual fact, I think it amazes me how bad some of the decisions are in real motorsport sometimes. I mean, Charlie Whiting clearly worked with these guys on this, because they actually have the same nonsense rules on track limits at Austria, Red Bull Ring, on Gran Turismo as they do in real life. Absolute nonsense that they let cars drive off on turn 1, and you know, I think there's a couple of other corners as well. Final corner, ridiculous. That's what the edge of the track is, the white line. It's a defining clear line between being on the track and off the track. Good luck, Raxel. See you tomorrow, and as I say, 5 PM tomorrow I'll be on for my FIA race, so you know, this practice will all sort of come together, and then we'll see how I get on in the race. Tomorrow, as I say, we're in it to, we've got to be in it to win it. We've got to be in it to push hard tomorrow. It's just going to be tyre strategy. You know, what's the best tyres to use? As I say, we can't stimulate the tyres so on this practice mode, so it's going to be interesting to see how the tyres degrade, because there is no practice basically for the tyres degrading. Gravel traps, remember gravel traps, eh? They used to be a thing. Parabolica, the final corner, used to be a giant gravel trap on the exit there, and that made you go slower. And it's a real shame gravel traps are being taken out of Formula 1. Oh, it's risky, nonsense. The reason why they're taking away gravel traps is because a lot of very rich people bring their Ferraris and Lamborghinis to these racetracks, and they're rubbish drivers, frankly, and they fly off the course. They're super expensive hypercars get beached in the gravel, and they have to take them out, so it's a hassle. So they tarmac them over, basically. It's as simple as that. That's why there's less gravel. That's why, forget all the rubbish you hear on F1 as to safety. It really is about the hypercar business, and making those drivers feel better about themselves, because you can imagine a few red faces when they've gone out and spent $1 million on a car, and you know, first thing they do is beach it on turn 1. They'll turn off traction control and realise actually some of these cars are not designed to have traction control turned off. And in some respects, that's where GT Sport is wrong, because some of these cars, you're driving like this one even, maybe, I don't know, but some of these cars were designed to have traction control turned on. You were not as quick in them with traction control off, or you shouldn't be. But you are quicker with traction control off the vast majority of the time. But we're not in the top echelons of races on here yet. There's a lot of, you know, techniques that these guys are using to improve their lap times. But we're not terrible. We're gradually improving, gradually finding the way over these curves, and using the track, and you know, finding the braking points at different speeds. As I say, you enter the corner at different speeds, and it was wide through there that time. Again, here sometimes then you're a bit wide through there as well if you don't get yourself balanced right. Again, lifting a little bit, you lost 4/10 just on that exit, because you lose time all the way down the straight because you're 2 mile, 3 mile an hour slower than you should be. Brilliant to hear, Richard. I mean, well, you're a good teacher for them, you know. So you want to teach them, give them some of the classic setups, and make sure they optimise the driving. You know, have a few family races. Soon they'll be beating Dad. And you know, online. I think online, you know, race while it's enjoyable, but don't let it get too serious. You know, I think it's very easy to times get sucked into it being way too serious. You know, I think, no, you know what? If this gets too serious, I'm just going to stop racing online, and that's it. I'm just going to play something else. That's it. I'm not going to get into competing with the best in the world over 1/10 of a second for kudos. It's not worth my time. I would rather just enjoy it and play something else. trail braking does help a lot on GT Sport. Braking late into corners, trail braking. You know, there's lots of little techniques that people are using that I don't fully understand yet in different cars. You know, you got to remember, I started playing this online 4 weeks ago. A lot of these guys have been playing it online a year and getting older. Indeed, exactly. You know, what is it? 11 years later, the years have flown by. A few more grey hairs, but still here. Like you say, we're still enjoying it. We've still got some speed. And I think if we practiced as a team as we did, I think we would still be dominating. Everybody believe that. The PGR3 in Forza 2 days were very competitive with great racers. But it's good to hear that you guys are getting old stock. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting as well. I've been using ABS on this game, but I also use. I've been using this new Fanatic wheel. So obviously it's based on the Club Sport wheel anyway. But I've been using the ABS foot brake option, which is it means I get a rumble in the brake when I lock my brakes, or when I'm 95% in braking or whatever. You set it however you want, really. I mean, you can set it to 99% if you want, but I set it to where I like, because I want to know when I'm locking my wheels and when I'm feeling like when I feel like I'm able to brake a bit longer. So final bit of testing, guys, just here, and then I'll call it a day. So back onto the medium tyre, and it's funny when you've been running on the soft again and you go back to the medium, it feels so slow. It feels like there's no grip in the corners. It feels like, you can see here, the soft tyre is just going to pull away from me down the straight gradually. And that's just the height and grip level. We'll turn that off. Got that completely wrong. Hopefully, I got a penalty. Typical. I got that. That was covering the final green curb at the end there. Gave me the penalty. I thought that might happen. But so you change tyres and suddenly you go into corners and it's a different beast. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go with pit stops tomorrow. We did a 123 then, despite making a mistake. So it's going to be interesting for me. I'm generally good on worn tyres, so I'll make a decision as to I know I made a mistake going in there, but it doesn't matter because I've got this penalty this lap, so That's going to be an absolute killer every time you get a penalty in the race, I can tell you, because you're going to lose so much time down that straight that someone will overtake you if they're right behind you, even if you have a one-tenth drop. Well, you won't get a one-tenth, you'll always start with half a second. Am I planning to use CM? Am I planning to use mediums? I'm going to consider it. I'm going to consider my options tonight. And then I often find with racing games that you do lots of practice. You go to bed, then you wake up in the morning, and your brain's worked it all out overnight, and you've decided that's the strategy I'm going for. Damn. I saw that coming then. I saw that coming. So we'll retry now. I was a bit wide on that corner, but I did that on purpose. And you might think, why? It's because sometimes you want to see how that works when you're for the race. So I could lift. I thought, nah, it's in practice. Obviously in the race you don't do things like that. You'll be lifting a bit and slowing down. Got the jet streams at the top in the distance there. Interesting, the jets are like stuck in the sky, aren't they? It's like they're coming towards you but not. A good lap on mediums there as well. On the power too quickly then. Let's brake a little bit early. Hi Foxy Gamer. Went wide, got that completely wrong. And that's what I was talking about earlier, about staying on the power and lifting. Earlier I stayed on the power and crashed, but you could just lift and lose 1.5 seconds. And that can happen to you in the race, you know, you just never know. Oh, the car was sliding there, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, some of the drivers from years ago, I mean, some of the cars they drove, I mean, just incredible, really, in terms, just, you know, the physicality, the risk. I mean, the risk was just unbelievable. I had a really good interview with Tiff Needell years ago, talking about racing Le Mans when there was no chicanes, and just the speed and the accidents and the amount of deaths there were in motorsport back then. I mean, just a different world really today. If anything, now we've almost gone the other way. We've gone too far the other way now, and where people think that taking risk out of everything is the way forward, and actually it's not. Whoops, that's quite interesting. Do you see there how it's span? So now we know that if this track car goes off, that's interesting as well. So if someone takes you out and they spin you, you know, oh, it's hard to get out of first gear, otherwise you're just going to spin again. And Richie's there, Richard's there as well. Brilliant, Richard. Say hello on the Team VV forum, teamvv.com. Pop on the forum, say hello on there, because these chats are all going to be, you know, they all vanish basically. It's hard to find anything afterwards. Oh, I got a penalty. Should have given me a penalty. There you go. Oh, why didn't you give me the penalty before the penalty sign? So what are we learning from this? That the medium tyre isn't a bad tyre. It's just, it requires a lot more precision to be quick, and it's easy to make mistakes. And that's what we're learning. It doesn't have the grip, so you've really got to be more precise in hitting the points on the track that turn your car into particular corners. Boo. Right, let's exit that. 122.8 on a medium tyre, which is okay actually, which is okay. It's not too bad, I think. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow in the race, isn't it? How quick everybody is. I mean, obviously everybody's using the soft tyre on the top 10 stars or whatever, but you know, I think the medium tyre being 2.4 seconds slower than on that lap than the best in the world isn't terrible. But we're not racing these guys, so but, you know, we've really got to get it right. And these guys are very quick, aren't they? This is going to be very challenging. Move that. Right, let's just have a little look before we finish tonight. Let's just have a little look at the tyre wear is 13 times. The tyre wear will be high, laps 11. It's going to be interesting to decide what to do. How long are soft tyres going to last? I think soft tyre will need at least 2 stops. The question is, how long is a pit stop? Can we... Oh, well, we'll have a look at that tomorrow actually. Actually, viewers, well, I think that's it for tonight. Actually, I might do a quick race. Let's just see where we are on the old stats, and then. Do you know, I think we'll leave it there tonight. It's been a long old stream, and let's see. Actually, I do want to check something on here. Actually, let's check something out. See if it works. Don't know if this helps. Just checking something, and then we'll. Doesn't do a test pit stop either. I wanted to see if it did, but I. It's going to give track position. Oh, do you know, I must went through the chicane. Well, I think that's it for now. I'm knackered. Okay, viewers, well, I hope you've enjoyed the races tonight, and a bit of practice session on here as well as my chat about various techniques and stuff. A bit of random Alan radio, a bit more relaxed. Like you say, I don't want to take it too seriously, get too involved, but I know tomorrow will be quite a lot of focus on this race, and I would like to, if possible, get a top 5 finish, and I'll probably run it more than once. So it'll be interesting to see how I get on in the various different races tomorrow. But that's it for me for now. Hope you've enjoyed the races today in the practice session, and there'll be more action, FIA races from me tomorrow. I'll be on just before 5 PM and then getting stuck into the race. So hopefully we'll see all this practice actually come together. But before I go, a big thanks to everybody who's liked the video on YouTube, subscribed, you know, everything else. I really appreciate all of your support and tuning in, and I hope to see you guys on tomorrow. Please do share the video as well, and yeah, that's it. As ever, more soon.